Hey everybody, welcome to Moment of Clarity. At the end, I'll be checking to see if you have any questions, and also please send topic recommendations to leecampmail@gmail.com. All right, let's get into this. Here is your moment of clarity. So in Portland, Oregon, activists are defending a house against eviction. They've put up barricades, driven the police back, and put in a vigilant immediate response team. At times, 100 people have been at the house at one time to keep police from coming in and throwing out the Afro-Indigenous Kenny family, who have lived there for 65 years. Now, right-wingers might call this lawlessness. The mayor has called it lawlessness. The police call it lawlessness. And the liberals probably call it lawlessness. This is not lawlessness. This is the only rational way to behave under these circumstances. We've got a government that has been completely taken over by fucking corporations, psychopaths, and serpent-type slithery things with a lot of legs. They don't care about people's lives or their health or their well-being. All they care about is what the bank tells them to care about. If the bank says jump, they say how high. I assume within reason. I mean, no human can jump that high. Obviously, depends on the human. I'm not going to act like me and Michael Jordan, like, oh, we both jump high. No, he can jump like a lot higher in his prime, at least. I don't know what he's jumping nowadays, but if he were the bought off government and the bank said to jump and he had the right shoes on and he was in his prime, then we're talking like pretty fucking high. Point being, the banks are currently going through court to take away this house from these people who have lived there for 65 fucking years. But no one stops to access, and this is happening across the country, right? This is, you know, it's happening in your neighborhood, it's happening in cities across the country. And no one, it seems, really stops to ask themselves, why? Why does the bank need that house in the middle of a goddamn pandemic? There are enough houses, homes, apartments, sheds, barns, fucking dance studios where people could live. Hot yoga rooms. We don't need hot yoga rooms right now. We have plenty of housing. We have plenty of rooms. There are plenty of buildings. If we were an actual cooperative human race, then no one would be homeless. No one would be facing eviction. Right now, we have at least 40 million Americans facing down the barrel of eviction. No one would be in the middle of this right now. Every time you see a homeless person or a person living in a tent in your city, you are seeing proof that a profit-based society is a crime against humanity. You see it every day, right? You don't even have to read books. You don't even have to look it up online. You just walk down the fucking street and you go, there, I see it. Oh, there's another one. Oh, there's another one. Look at that. Wow, this system is a real dumpster fire. I'm a genius. I just figured that out. Right? You just walk down the street. That's the nice thing about capitalism. You know, you don't have to spend much time on the research. I kind of like that. I enjoy a good book, but I also like being lazy at times. And, you just throw on your shoes and go check out underneath the bridges. But just in case that's not enough, let me remind you of some of these numbers. There are at least 3 empty houses for every homeless person in America. During the housing crisis, there were 6 empty houses for every homeless person in America. I'm sure it's going to go up to probably 6 as these evictions go through. And that's talking just houses. That's regular. That's not even rooms. That's just houses, small houses, big houses, McMansions with the stupid fucking pillars that they have for no goddamn reason. Let me break it down for you. Pillars are meant to hold up heavy things. Okay? That's how it works. That's why they built them in the first place in ancient Greece or whatever. The pillars on the McMansions, if you look at them, they hold up like a little triangle. Like they're not holding up shit. It's like putting in a pool as a status symbol, but filling it with rocks. or having a basketball court where the basket is a ficus. Can't play basketball, can you? You just wanted the court there so you could say, look, I got a basketball court. What's the fucking point of the court? The basketball hoop's a ficus. So your stupid pillars don't have a stupid point, is what I'm saying. Well, that's 2 basketball jokes in one episode. I'm really angling for the sports audience on this one. Really gunning for them. Trying to bring in more sports enthusiasts to the show. Point being, there are plenty of homes for everyone. But we don't live in a fair society. We don't live in a society where we help each other out. Our guiding principle of our economic system is greed. So we take as much as possible. And the most greedy of those institutions are the banks. They want even more profit than your average American or your average human being. They want even more profit than everyone else. And one of the ways they do that is by lending to people in such a way that they know the people won't be able to pay forever. It's called predatory lending. Picture like a velociraptor in a necktie, just sitting there going, this is a great loan. You're gonna really love this. This is gonna be really good for you. And then he clinks together his claws. So that's what they are. That's what banks are. Predatory. That's what predatory lending is. And then when the people fall a little behind on their payments, the bank pounces in order to steal the house from the people living in them and thereby profiting even more. They were already profiting from the interest on the loan, and now, but that's not enough for them. They have to steal the house back as well. And because the laws in our country were written by rich white men, they are meant to benefit, wait for it, rich white men. Oh my God, that's really some groundbreaking stuff there. Just fucking right there. So when the banks come to the courts and they say, we want to steal the house, usually the judge goes, that's a great idea. Have fun out there. So then the police, which our policing system was created and run by, wait for it, rich white men. The police are asked by the bank to go perpetrate the stealing of the house because the bankers don't usually like to get their shoes dirty, right? Their shoes are pretty great. They cost more than your average orphan child. Ironically, they're also made by orphan children. Anyway, the bankers say, police, go steal this house for us. And then the police, who are the fist of the corporate state, go do it because they're defending the law. So in the case of Portland, and it's happening in many places in the U.S. right now, real live human beings have decided to defend families and their houses. Real, honest to God human beings, unlike the slithery banky things with a lot of legs. These human beings look to their neighbors and their friends and their families, and they think, we need to protect this house and protect this land and protect these friends and neighbors. And so they go there and they help others in their community. Compare that to the bankers who only help get themselves richer. That is their only purpose every day, all day. There is nothing beyond that. I mean, maybe they feed their dog. That's it. That is the only nonprofit thing they do all day. But even that is probably because their wife or husband likes the dog, and so they don't want to kill it by not feeding it because then he or she will freak the fuck out, and they don't want to deal with it. I mean, who wants to deal with that? No one wants to deal with that. So at the end of the day, it's still selfish when they're feeding the dog. And let's remember, these people around the country defending other people from eviction, those facing eviction, they are not extremists. The news and a lot of people have been manipulated to believe, to call them extremists or radicals. They are not extremists. They are not radicals. They are doing the only thing that makes sense in this ridiculous, dystopian, gut-wrenching, painful, collapsing, catch-22, Joseph Heller-Arius reality. Those fighting for others to have a home, to have food, to have a reasonable existence, they're the only ones making sense. They're not radicals. They're rationals. They're the rationals. Just like the people fighting around this country, just like the people fighting against pipelines and the people standing up against police abuse and the people demanding an end to our endless wars and the people fighting against logging and polluting and fucking extinctions. This is a rational movement. I don't know about you, but if this all falls down tomorrow, I want to stand with the rationals. It's been your moment of clarity. To read more about this story, go over to popularresistance.org. It's probably on one of the first few pages, but you can also look up Portland Community Beats Back Eviction, Erects Barricades, and type in popularresistance.org. Hope you like the moment of clarity. Please share this. Please let people know. I'm also giving away 5 free signed copies of my book, Bullet Points and Punchlines. All you have to do is sign up for the free email list. You can do that by texting the word redacted to 33777 and following the prompt. It's just one prompt to send your email address. And then you will be entered to win the free one of the free signed copies for Bullet Points and Punchlines, my book. All right, I will maybe take a question or two if I see one that sounds reasonable, sounds rational. There we are again with the rational. Let's see. Oz Whistles asks, are we all prepared to defend our neighbors from eviction? I doubt it. And I would love to call myself an organizer and know a lot more about the groups that are doing this type of thing. Occasionally I will talk with some of them or have them on my show to promote them. But there are a lot of great groups out there that work on this type of thing. Sometimes when we do the live streams on Sunday, we raise money for one of those groups that does things like eviction defense. But you should look them up and follow them and support them. Let's see here. Let's see. I don't know what that one means. Don says he has roaches they can feed. Don, you might want to clear up that problem. Maybe don't leave the Doritos out. Just kind of put those away sometimes. Let's see. The Coxman Archives is saying he's been doing research on the invasion of Vietnam, and he's heard me mention it on Redacted Tonight a few times, and was hoping that I could recommend some sources. Let's see. I'm wondering where it is I've read the most about what went down on Vietnam. So the place you can actually watch the clip where Defense Secretary McNamara admits on video that the Gulf of Tonkin incident, which was used to get us full-fledged into Vietnam, this was a major incident where we claimed that our ships were attacked by the North Vietnamese South getting everything confused in my head. Should film these earlier in the day. He's talking about the Gulf of Tonkin incident, and he admits on camera that it never happened. He does a little, equivocating about whether, we thought it was real, but it's quite clear that they knew almost immediately that the attack on the ships did not happen. In one incident, nothing happened. There were basically 2 incidents. And in the other incident, they spent like half an hour firing at storm clouds that they saw on the radar, and they thought the storm clouds were ships. But it wasn't like we then went to war still not knowing those storm clouds were actually ships attacking us. They knew almost immediately that those were not real, that they had been firing at storm clouds. But they, the government wanted to use that to get Congress to vote for war in Vietnam, and they succeeded. Nowadays, we've just kind of done away with the whole congressional votes on war. We basically just bomb whoever the fuck we want, and we don't even ask Congress. So that's nice. It was that step of getting a whole several hundred representatives of the people to decide who we're at war with. Oh. It just took up so much time. It was just a real nuisance to have to go to representatives and explain to them why there's a war. I mean, here's the thing: is the representatives are bought off anyway, so they would vote for the war anyway. But still, it's like you gotta chit chat with them, and who has the time? So now we've really just done away with the whole congressional approval of war, which really speeds everything up. Dave Dowling says banks decide who wars with who. Yeah, pretty much. I've talked a lot about central banking. Tony DeMeo says the interview with Tara Reid was phenomenal. Thank you, Tony. For those of you who don't know, I had Tara Reid, who is one of the main accusers of Joe Biden. Who said Joe Biden fully sexually assaulted her, not just sexual harassment, not just hair smelling. And she worked for him in the 90s, in the early to mid 90s. And had her on the show and kind of just went through all the details, spent the full half hour with her. You can watch it at youtube.com/redacted tonight. But please do subscribe to youtube.com/moment of clarity, because this one is less censored. And Emmy Hedges asks, is Google censoring you? Yes, in many ways. Google has some did I finish answering the Coxman Archives question about Vietnam? The movie in which McNamara admits that is called The Fog of War, and you should watch The Fog of War. As I recall, I mean, it's been a long time since I watched it, although I've watched the clip of him saying that many times. But as I recall, a pretty great movie. It's kind of McNamara. I think he's had a bit of a come to Jesus moment where he and even that phrase, that expression, come to Jesus moment, it's troublesome. It really is, because a lot of people have killed a lot of people in the name of Jesus. So I don't come to Jesus moment sounds like more killing to me. Honestly sounds like a lot more killing. If you're high-fiving Jesus, then there's often a lot of Muslims being bombed, or Asian people. It's terrible. It's terrible. So maybe let's not call it a come to Jesus moment. Let's call it a come to moral senses moment. Anyway, he seems to have done that, and to some degree. I'm not going to act like he's like, oh, the whole Vietnam War, I can't believe we killed all those people. No, that's not what he's saying. He has these slight moments where he's like, the call for Tonkin didn't in fact happen. It's those type of moments which are enlightening. That is called Fog of War. Another great history book that I'm only halfway through, so I don't actually know if they get into Vietnam. I haven't gotten to the end of the book, but it's called The Untold History of the United States. It's by Oliver Stone and Peter Kuznick. And but what I have read of it, I've covered some of it on Government Secrets, my podcast. Great stuff in that book as well. If they do get into Vietnam, I'm sure they do a great job with it. Okay, so I was answering, does Google censor you? So Google censors me in multiple ways. It's interesting, the techniques they used. I've had on specialists to talk about this, but Google has, so you all know the experiment of Pavlovs dogs, right? In many ways, humans are Pavlovs dogs. Pavlovs dogs, they realize that dogs hear a bell and then they're given food, and slowly the dog would hear the bell and start to salivate without even being given food. And they've now proven that humans are very similar. Like even if they do things that we don't consciously see, like if it's a sound we don't consciously hear, or a blink of a image so quick that we don't consciously see it, they can still get it to cause things like salivating. Very, very different, salvation and salivating. That was a come to Jesus moment right there with the salvation. But they can get it to cause things like salivating and you know, you could get nervous or sweaty, or think they've been able to cause erections in rats. I made up the last one. Anyway, so that's Pavlov's dogs. So what Google has done is basically the same thing, but with knowledge. Most of us are so accustomed to, you go to Google, you type in what it is you want to search, and they almost immediately have the right answer of what you're looking for. Like, you're looking for something and it's there. You want to buy something and it's there. They almost never get it wrong. And something like somewhere between 80 and 90% of all Google searches, no one leaves the front page. So basically, if you aren't on the front page of a Google search and you want people to find you, then it's not happening. Almost no one goes to the front, past the front page. And almost everybody uses Google. It's like 90% of web searches or something are done on Google. So you have most of the world using Google to find all of their information. And we have all been trained, and you know, I'm not excluding myself, that Google knows what's right. Google will show you what is the correct answer every time. If you type in a person's name, they will find that person and they will tell you the most important information about that person. So the way that they've begun censoring people is pretty fascinating from a scientific stance, but really troublesome, is that if you Google me, several things are going to happen. First of all, the first articles that are going to come up are the ones in the mainstream media, right? And guess what? Mainstream media don't like me. Big surprise. I spend all my day trashing the mainstream media. Big surprise. They don't love me. So you're going to get the New York Times article that was completely false, trashing me. I did a response that luckily got a lot of views. And the response caused them to make multiple retractions in the article, proving that they had printed falsehoods. But the article is still up online, and so it'll come up first. And so if you've never heard of me and you Google me, you'll get this garbage article from New York Times. And most people assume that's accurate. Then you'll get, maybe even before that, you'll get Wikipedia, right? Wikipedia, same thing. Wikipedia only relies nowadays on mostly mainstream media articles. So Wikipedia will also publish garbage about me. Some of it is just misrepresenting things, and other stuff is just false. So you'll get a somewhat wrong Wikipedia article. You get a somewhat largely wrong New York Times article meant to attack me, meant to make me look bad. Then there's a little thing that says videos. And I've noticed one of the first videos that last time I haven't looked myself up in like 5 years, but I did it the other day. And one of the first things that comes up is in the videos section, it says Lee Camp exposed. Now, this was a video I did making fun of a Facebook page called Lee Camp Exposed that was meant to attack me. And the video is pretty funny, so I'm fine with anyone watching that video. But I think the reason, but I did it 2-3 years ago. But I think the reason that is, they only show 3 videos. They say, of all the videos on the internet, here are the 3 you need to see about Lee Camp. And one of them is Lee Camp Exposed from 2 years ago. That honestly, if you'd asked me my top 5 videos I wanted you to see that show what I do or what's important to me on my show, I wouldn't even remember that one existed. But I think the reason that's in there is because they thought it was a video that exposes me, that makes me look bad. And so they put it there, the algorithm puts it there as let's reveal Lee Camp to people. What you're not going to get usually on the top page of a Google search like about me is you're not going to get my real work. You're not going to get, you might get my website because that's like the official website, but you're not going to get most of my important stuff that I've done. You're not going to get the stuff I write normally for, Truth Dig. I used to write for Consortium News. You're going to get these mainstream media articles trashing me, and NPR, there's an NPR thing trashing me. So that is what they highlight, and that is what they tell people to look at, because they want people who have never heard of me, because most people are going to Google someone they've never heard of. They want to tell people who've never heard of me, here are all the problematic things about Lee Camp. And they want them to get the propaganda first so that they can turn them away. I'm rambling now, but I'll give one more example of how Google censors my stuff. I won't even get into Facebook for right now. I might do a whole episode on all this later. I feel like it's about time. But on YouTube, so YouTube's now owned by Google. On YouTube, they used to recommend my videos to people that would like my stuff. So if you like, let's say, Jimmy Dore, you might like my stuff. If you like Chris Hedges' videos, you might like my stuff. And so they used to do that. I used to get thousands of viewers because they would say, hey, you're watching a lot of Chris Hedges. I bet you really like Lee Camp. And it would recommend it, or sometimes it even autoplay. Nowadays, that essentially never happens. Even if you're watching one of my videos, it often will not autoplay another one of my videos. It basically takes viewers of my stuff and says, you are in a naughty corner of the internet, of the YouTube. You are in a bad place because you're learning these things about on Redacted Tonight or on Moment of Clarity. And this is really not good. For you to be in this dark, scary alley of the YouTube. Who knows? There could be someone behind that corner. There's drugs here. There's alcohol. There's sex, drugs, and rock and roll just like right there. It's like really bad to be here. So we recommend you go over to CNN. Here is, you like Lee Camp? Here is MSNBC. Here is John Oliver. Here is Trevor Noah and The Daily Show. They try and push people away from my stuff as quickly as possible, and they never recommend me to people. So that is a key to the algorithm. And I think it's important for people to understand that while there may be at times human beings sitting there actually checking stuff, it does happen that, they maybe specifically with my videos, once I upload a video, they'll check to see whether the title fits what it's talking about or those kind of things. But they might have a human checking some of that stuff. But most of this is done with an algorithm. Basically, my page, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook or what have you, has been flagged somehow as troublesome. This is not your mainstream corporate media. And so once it's flagged in the algorithm as troublesome, it basically shoots you down another path. You're not given the normal content creator path to people's eyeballs. You're given I don't know about this guy. Let's put him over here where we don't recommend him to people. And so it's an algorithm. I mean, there's no way to fight it. There's no way to even find out the details of what exactly it does. But a lot of it's pretty obvious. Let's see here. I'll do one more. Let's see. Robert Pukey Ray is talking about Katie Halper and Matt Taibbi. I'm friends with Katie Halper. I've known her a long time. I'm a fan of Matt Taibbi's. I've had him on my show, Redacted Tonight, and I've had Katie on. They do good work. Their show's called Useful Idiots. I do believe that they are not kind of in the suppression censorship algorithm yet because they're under a very big mainstream channel called Rolling Stone. You might have heard of it. So I think when you're under the Rolling Stone banner, you're treated a lot better and you're recommended to people far more so. But let's see. Virginia, thank you very much for the kind words. I'm guessing JW means Jehovah's Witness. She says she was raised Jehovah's Witness and she doesn't want to be a pawn anymore. Well done. Good for you to see beyond it. Let's see. Reopen 9/11 says, we weren't permitted in college to use Wikipedia as an assignment source. Now I see why. Well, it's interesting. It's kind of changed why Wikipedia is troublesome. Wikipedia used to be troublesome because it could be edited by anybody. So someone could throw something up there and you didn't really know where, when it had been edited. And it just, so, Stephen Colbert famously, back during when he was hosting the Colbert Report, had his fans edit a page, and 1,000 people edited it once, and so that got the edit in, and he, I don't know, he got it to say something ridiculous, and he just proved that Wikipedia had those problems. But now it's kind of the reverse has happened. Now Wikipedia has been captured by an elite group of editors. I don't know. There's, maybe 100 at the top echelon, but I think it's of the very top echelon. I think it's more like 30 who do most of the edits. And they are almost exclusively within the kind of corporate media sense of things. They go along with like State Department talking points, and basically anytime the U.S. government puts horse shit out there, they fall for it. And so they really run around, and one of them particularly, although I can't remember his name, but one of them particularly spends his day running around looking up people like me, people that are not in the mainstream media, that criticize the American empire, and basically just making sure our Wikipedia pages are garbage, are filled with anti-us propaganda. So, another example, he's written about it before, but Max Blumenthal and the Gray Zone, they've been edited and attacked mercilessly on Wikipedia, so much so that the Gray Zone can no longer be referenced as a source in a story. But of course, the Gray Zone does amazing work. And the Gray Zone has proven major, whistleblower moments, major frauds. They're the ones largely who've proven that the OPCW doctored the chemical weapons report in Douma, Syria, which is what the U.S. used as an excuse to bomb Syria. And whistleblowers have come forward and said that's what happened at the OPCW. And that writing and reports have been done largely at the Gray Zone. So if you wanted to get that reality that this report of chemical weapons was doctored and falsified, and that there have been whistleblowers, you need to point to a source to do that edit in Wikipedia. Well, guess what? One of the main sources, legitimate sources that's revealed all this, is the Gray Zone. But now they've made it so that you can't reference the Gray Zone as a source. So you basically have to reference like CNN, New York Times, Fox News. I mean, could you imagine acting like Fox News is a legit source? It's fucking chaos. So that shows you how fucking sad Wikipedia's gotten. All right, guys, I can't thank you enough for hanging out with me. Please share this. I do these almost every single weekday, except sometimes. So in order to find out about them, as we've been discussing, you won't find out about them thanks to your feeds often, or many of you won't. So go to leecamp.com and find the new one each day. Also, please, if you haven't yet, please check out my podcast, Government Secrets. That's the new one, co-hosted by Graham Elwood. But I promise you, like, a lot of it's evergreen. We talk about a lot of government secrets from the past, and I think you really enjoy it. So you can just you can, since it's evergreen, you can binge listen. You can go on a long road trip. You can listen to 5 of those motherfuckers. Just go look up Government Secrets on any of your podcast platforms. All right, thanks again, and text the word redacted to 33777 to be joined up to the email list and get entered to win a free signed copy of my book, Bullet Points and Punchlines. All right, keep fighting.